I've only spent a couple of weeks with the Samsung Note 10 Plus, but I think I'm ready to go back to the OnePlus 7 Pro. Wait, I meant to say review this phone, but I'm not entirely sure if I like this phone. Let's figure it out together. Hello everyone, my name is Matt and this is Real World Review. Check out my social media listed above and the description for some more extras. Let's get started. Just like every other Samsung flagship phone, the screen is amazing. I can't entirely say the same for the Note 10, but on the Plus, this 6.8-inch 1440p dynamic AMOLED display is super crisp and has a slightly less annoying curve than normal phones. It's still there and seems steep, but it isn't actually that bad. Might be because of the included screen protector, but still. I'm not a fan of the hole punch, but honestly, it doesn't get in the way that much. Still kinda dumb to me, but like I said with the S10 5G, I think Samsung was going for a more futuristic look. They could have been trying to stand out, but I'm not too much of a fan of it either way. The way the screen is curved, it makes the phone seem very tall and narrow, but the phone is actually reasonably wide and makes it a little bit easier to type on. Overall, I love this screen because Samsung doesn't cut any corners with it. I mean, they poke holes in the screen, but at least it doesn't cut any corners or have any notches. With all this said, it is still easier for me to get used to a hole punch in the middle of the screen rather than on the corner. But as you may know, a full screen would have made my experience that much better. Also, just like the S10 5G, the screen refresh rate is only 60Hz, which is normal, but when you're used to 120Hz or 90Hz screen on something like a OnePlus 7 Pro, it makes 60Hz look boring. This battery is here to help with all the big stuff that they added into this phone. This 4300 mAh battery sounds like it's pretty big, and it kind of is. I praise Samsung for making this battery this large, but it still isn't big enough for me. Either that or the phone isn't as efficient as they say it is. Here are some battery stats, but I did have a disappointing situation happen with this battery. After 24 hours off this charger, this is what I was left with. This included being on airplane mode for about 13 hours of this time. This is a real situation that may happen if you take a long flight, and it's sad to see that this phone has such a large battery but can barely survive that trip. Getting 2 days out of this battery is possible, but not without light usage or turning on a battery saver. The silver lining is that this phone is capable of super fast charging. Samsung claims 30 minutes will give you a full day of usage, and I'm assuming that they mean with the 45-watt charger. With this said, on the 25-watt charger that comes in the box, the phone charged to 62% in 30 minutes, which is enough to get me through a normal day. Remember, the 45-watt charging is only on the Note 10 Plus, not the regular Note 10, making the Note 10 Plus the fastest charging Samsung phone as of now. Just like the Samsung S10 5G, this phone supports PowerShare, which is reverse wireless charging, so you can share that 4300 mAh battery for whatever reason. It does pass-through charging as well. When I was on vacation, I had this phone on the charger and wirelessly charged my iPhone X with it. This means I had one charger for two devices, which is pretty cool. Still, I applaud Samsung for putting a larger battery into this phone, but it still wasn't enough for me. So to save a little bit of time, I'm going to assume that you saw the review of the S10 5G because those cameras are pretty similar. With this said, I will still go over the small differences from those cameras. But the quality is going to be almost exactly the same as the S10 5G, which is an awesome thing. The triple camera setup is still there with a depth sensor on the side, which is for data, and also VGA. Yeah. Regardless, I will show you some of the shots and explain the sensors. The standard camera is a 12 megapixel sensor with the dual aperture setup that Samsung puts in its flagship phones ever since the Samsung S9. It focuses super fast and gives you nice shots, whether it's day or night, but it still isn't perfect at night. The pastel look still exists, even with night mode turned on. But just like the S10 5G, the camera takes outstanding shots. Or maybe Stockholm just looks so beautiful to me. Still, amazing sensor as expected, but night mode still needs some work. Then we have the 12 megapixel telephoto sensor that again takes some amazing shots when set up properly. It has a small field of view, which is normal, but still gives you amazing shots. Not always the best if you need a 2x optical zoom, but it still gets the job done and very few people will complain. Then we have the 123 degree 16 megapixel ultra wide camera sensor, which is cool. Samsung still needs to optimize it so then they can give you the best version out there, but still, the sensor isn't that bad. It's not the best for night shots, but it's better than the OnePlus 7 Pro's wide-angle sensor, at least to me. As for video, it looks like you can only shoot with the main sensor, just like the OnePlus 7 Pro, which is weird to me. Samsung killed Pro Video in this software and video with other sensors. That's kind of weird. I assume the same is with the S10 5G as well. Regardless, 4K 60 frames per second looks awesome, but lacking optical image stabilization in certain modes is always frustrating to me. Not sure why this is such a common thing, but I guess it's whatever. Still, it looks amazing, but it's not the best at night. The live focus video, or video portrait mode, sounds good on paper, but the real world usage is just weird to me. There's also a feature called Zoom In Mic, but 1, zooming while recording isn't really the best idea to begin with, and 2, all it does is just boost the audio, which is essentially just making everything louder. There's no crazy science behind that. As for the front camera, it's a simple camera, gets the job done, and gives you some cool shots. This 10 megapixel sensor also supports live focus for photos and videos, even though it's a single 2D camera. It's not the best camera, but it's also not the worst. I mean, it does focus. At least it shoots 4K 30 frames per second, just like the S10 5G. Oh yeah, there's a single LED flash on the back, which works, I guess. I never use a camera flash, so I don't really know why I always complain about Samsung only putting a single LED on the back. No, I didn't forget all the gimmicks, because this phone definitely has a lot of them, and the camera app brags about it. My question though is, why does AR Doodle even exist? Come on, Samsung. This phone is a beast, on paper at least. Okay, it's still a beast of a phone, as it should be for the price, but real-world usage still points to the OnePlus 7 Pro being a little bit better. Samsung has a Snapdragon 855 chip in there, with 12 GB of RAM, 256 GB of UFS 3.0 storage, and a memory card slot. This is all something that points to making this phone better than the OnePlus 7 Pro, especially with the memory card support. To me, however, this is not true. The real-world usage shows that Oxygen OS on the 7 Pro is lighter and a little bit more responsive. Still, this is probably the fastest Samsung device that you can buy right now. Like the Samsung S10 5G, the OS is One UI and requires a lot of power and RAM. Just like recent Samsung flagships, the Note 10 is water resistant, but I never recommend taking advantage of that. I mean, the phone costs more than $1,000, so why would you do that in the first place? This operating system is very packed, fitting lots of gestures and features like double tap to wake, as well as lift to wake. This is cool because the power button is gone. Well, really, it's on the left side of the phone, which I never really got used to. It's weird because I got used to it on the BlackBerry Priv, but on a larger phone like this, the left side power button is annoying. It does double as Bixby, but there is a way to disable it, making this phone one of the best Samsung phones for that feature alone. Just like an iPhone, this phone is very expensive. Also, just like an iPhone, you will still want to buy this phone. I mean, you're watching this video, right? So there's a good chance that you're debating on buying this phone in the first place. But just like the iPhone, if you have a Samsung Galaxy S or Note phone, you're probably going to buy this phone anyway. Have I hypnotized you yet? Okay, seriously, this is an awesome phone, but Samsung has a huge line of phones out right now, which is really weird to me. Do you need to save money? Samsung S10e. Want to be neutral? Samsung S10 or S10 Plus. Want the best and fastest network-wise? Samsung S10 5G, Samsung Note 10, Samsung Note 10 5G, Samsung Note 10 Plus, and Samsung Note 10 Plus 5G. We're talking about 8 phones in over 20 different variations of storage and color options. Wait, all of those colors? Okay, that's definitely more than 20. Except for the Note 10 Plus. There's only a few colors, but that's not the point. Is this phone even worth it? If you ever own the Note 8 or Note 9 and love those phones, you're probably not going to regret this choice. But remember to buy the more expensive Note 10 Plus, not the normal Note 10. So normally I leave this part for my final thoughts, and I will, but I also want to take some time to talk about some things that really confused and even annoyed me about this phone. This should have been the Note 10, and the other phone should have been the Note 10e, or something like that. I don't know. It's just weird that they came out with a Note 10 and then a Note 10 Plus, even though the Note 10 Plus is essentially like a better Note 9. It's weird to me. I also love this picture right here. All you need in the box. You're good to go with all the essentials. Yet, you're not. Where's the headset jack adapter? You know the Essential phone had a headset jack adapter. Come on, Samsung. The speakers vibrate the phone like the Samsung S10 5G, but it's not as bad. Also, this hole is where the second speaker pops out, which is kind of weird, but I guess it had to be done. Like my normal Note reviews, I barely use the S Pen, but this time, I'm just kidding, I still forgot that it was even there. Look, it's cool and does a bunch of stuff, even actually has a battery in there for stuff like air gestures. I mean, the Note 9 made it gimmicky, and this one is no different. The pen doesn't say Samsung though, which is interesting to me. But to summarize, this is a really good phone, and it better be for that price point. I used this the entire time I was out of the country, so that should tell you something. With all this said, I am still glad to be back to the OnePlus 7 Pro. And that's it for the Note 10 Plus, the flashy super phone for a price. If you want me to review something, let me know in the comment section, along with any other questions that you have. Or message me on Twitter at MattofRWR. And feel free to follow me on the social media listed above, as well as subscribing for more review and repair videos. And hit that bell button so then YouTube actually reminds you when a new video does come out. Thanks for watching.